College students are some of the most hilarious people, and they never fail to make me laugh with the stupidity that they come up with. But I'm not going to talk anymore. We're going to get into this video really quickly. But before we do, make sure you guys like the video as much as possible. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit the notification bell so that you're notified when one of my videos come out. And let's get into the video.
But don't you think that like there's a reason that a lot of the black community doesn't have a father, and it's because of systemic racism. It's because like black men are more likely to be in prison.
Oh yeah, so why do people go to prison?
For like a lot of the time it's because they're in poverty and they have no other way to get.
Okay, so they commit crimes.
Because
Yeah, but so wait, so wait.
Why do they
So wait, if you're
commit crimes?
So in poverty, we should give excuses for committing crimes?
Yes, because if they have no
like murder?
I did not say murder.
Well, you might as well put murder there, because if it's a case that you're excusing them for committing crimes based on the fact that they're poor, you might as well say, well, he had to do what he had to do because of the fact that he was poor, so he had to murder that person due to the fact that he was poor. But of course, with college students and their inability to follow through with their logic, they say nonsense like this, just like this student is saying, and can't seem to grasp where her logic leads her to.
I'm saying, like, if someone is stealing something because they have no money and there's no jobs.
That's so interesting. So you think most crimes are crimes of necessity in the black community?
I'm not saying most.
So like gangbanging is like a crime of necessity?
That I literally never said that. I'm saying,
but you're making an argument of crimes of necessity. Like they're so hungry they can't handle it.
I'm talking about like crime that has to do with like getting food, getting stuff that you need to live.
Right, but we have food stamps for anyone that needs it, so that doesn't exist. We have subsidized housing for anyone that needs it, so that doesn't exist. We have free healthcare for any poor person that wants it, called Medicaid, that doesn't exist. We also have welfare, cash, for anyone that wants it, so that doesn't exist. So what is it they're missing that they need to go? Sorry about that.
Well, the food, like a lot of food stamps might not cover all of what they need, and also housing is like there's not unlimited housing. A lot of people who are unhoused have to like go to shelters, and then they get kicked out of shelters because there's a mandatory stay limit. So it's not like you just get a house.
It's not a stuff thing though, right? It's like if you need stuff, there's also tons of charities out there that can provide assistance, churches. You will not go hungry in this country. You will not starve in this country.
Yes, you will. There's
no, we have an obesity problem.
Street?
We have an obesity problem, not a starvation problem in this country.
What are you talking about?
In State Street, if any one of those people went to the local Episcopalian church or Methodist church, they will get fed. I guarantee it. If they go to a local food shelter, they will get fed.
Okay, but I'm talking, housing.
For housing. If we have Section 8 subsidized housing in this country, right? If you want to have a roof over your head, you can have a roof over your head.
As I've stated before, white liberal women are some of the most hilarious people ever. That this college student is genuinely trying to make an argument for the fact that black people commit crimes such as stealing. The problem with her logic is she's also going to have to account for the fact that they don't only engage in stealing. What about them killing other people and murdering other people? What about those crimes? What's going to be an excuse for those crimes? But of course, because they like to make black people out to be victims, they come up with nonsense like this.
With like thousands of rules, and you can't do
anything. Yes, of course, yes. I mean, it's not ideal, but the point is this. So let's just go back to the crime and necessity, right? Mm-hmm. So why do people commit crimes?
I'm not saying why all people commit crimes. I'm saying there are people who commit crimes because they have no other choice.
Got it. So why is it that other people that are as poor as they are in separate racial groups don't commit crimes at the same rates? For example, blacks are 13% of the population and they commit over 50% of the crimes. Why is that?
Black people, I would say, not blacks.
Okay, it's not. I could say whites and you wouldn't care. So
anyway,
hold on. Right? I could say Hispanics, you wouldn't care. So don't police my language.
But whatever. I'm not policing your language. I'm just saying I would say black people.
Fair enough. But the insinuation is that I'm being racist. But that's fine.
Okay, that's your opinion.
Yeah, but so black Americans are 13% of the population and commit anywhere between 50 to 56% of murders, crimes, carjackings. Why is that?
Well, what percentage of the white population is living in the same level of poverty?
Got it. So there's twice as many white Americans in poverty as black Americans. Not the same percentage, but still, if you look at white Americans in poverty, they commit far less crimes than black Americans in poverty. Why is that?
Maybe it's because when you're in a store, like they follow black people and they don't follow white people.
She did not just say that because when they're in stores, black people get followed more, therefore they commit more crimes. I don't even know what type of conclusion she's trying to come to. Because they get followed more, they're going to commit more crimes. What in the blue hell are you talking about? Honestly, people need to start reevaluating the things that they say and reevaluating the things that they believe in, because that makes absolutely no sense. But of course, because you're someone who wants to make people out to be victims, you come up with nonsense like this.
Rural?
No, but why is it that, like, just saying murder, why is it that black people commit so many more
White
murders?
people live in rural
Like, that's not, you're being followed in a store and you commit more murders?
Yeah.
You're making the rule, or I'll get to you in a sec, but
Okay,
it's not,
anyway.
it's not a good argument. But let me just go back to one thing you said. Systemic
Whatever, you're
racism,
good.
right? So the idea of systemic is that it's within our laws. There are some black Americans here listening. What can you as a white American do that the black American cannot do?
Let's see. I could go into a store and not get followed. The police could not track me down on, like, when I'm driving. I'm less likely to get shot and killed while I'm driving. There's a lot of things that I can do.
Okay, so just be clear. So if you walk into a local CVS here, how would you guys be treated differently?
Well, they would probably say hello, and they would probably just walk, let me in and not follow me, and then.
So these are a lot of probablys. I don't believe you, but I'm talking about laws, right? So what in the legal code of America can you as a white individual do that the black individual can't? Because systemic means it's in our code, right? It's for example, like Jim Crow, totally get it. That's systemic racism. What is systemically your advantage?
Maybe housing codes, because I know redlining isn't a thing anymore, but there is isn't there people who are white are more likely to be given loans?
Isn't there?
Because
you should know
of
this.
they
Why
have
are you asking the question?
I don't know. That's just it's back from redlining. It's a lot of the same stuff.
So, I don't buy into any of that. So I just kind of go.
You don't buy into redlining, or you don't buy
into redlining. I don't buy any of that stuff that have to say. In fact, it's the opposite. Loans are now given favorably to black Americans in certain cities over white Americans.
Okay, but
we could,
think
because
redlining.
of I believe in. I know redlining existed. I don't debate that. Of course I have. But because of DEI and because of affirmative action, there's actually a preference given. But so let's go back to fathers, right?
Okay, let's go back to fathers.
So something happened to black America since 1965. So in 1965, so.
You mean the war on drugs?
Right. Well, so if that's your contention, that's fine. So in order to go to jail for the war on drugs, you have to be dealing drugs, right? Or you have to be caught with drugs. So if you don't
which is one of the main jobs that you can have in a poverty-stricken. If there's no jobs, you're going to do drugs. I mean, you're going to trade drugs because that's the only option you have.
It's such a difference in worldview. You're making excuses for criminals.
Yeah.
And what an insult to poor immigrants that came to this country that didn't commit crimes and worked 2 or 3 jobs and worked themselves out of poverty and didn't decide to go deal coke.
Well, my father is a white immigrant from Poland, and he committed crimes, and he's fine now. So.
Did he go to jail?
Yeah, he did.
I thought there was systemic racism. I thought that doesn't happen very much.
I never said white people don't go to jail. I said they go more, and you're saying that white immigrants are fine and they don't.
No, it's far less actually. I'm glad he went to jail if he committed a crime. I think it's terrible.
Yeah.
So, but at the core of it, we have a difference in worldview, right? My worldview is I'm not sympathetic to people that steal, that loot, and murder, because that's a values problem. And I don't like making excuses for people that do things that are obviously destructive. Secondly, we have a problem in black America. The biggest problem is not racism, it's the lack of dads. If dads are around, kids flourish. And you know who agreed with me? Barack Obama. Barack Obama used to make this a central piece of his campaign. He came to this campus back in 2012, drew 100,000 person crowd, and talked about how we need to rebuild the black family and put dads back. Why doesn't the Democrat Party talk about that anymore?
Of course they don't care about that now. They just want to make black people and people of color out to just be victims because it's an easy thing to do. You don't actually tell them what they can do to improve their community. You point the finger at other people because it's easy to point the finger at people who are not yourself. It's easy to say, I don't want to look in the mirror and see what I can do to improve my life. I'm just going to blame other people for my life.
I'm fine with having fathers. I'm not against having black dads.
For sure. I'm saying, but don't we agree? Has anyone heard that mentioned on the national scale in the last 10 years? Yeah, I mean, we've heard about
Probably
like,
not.
yeah, and
Because
why
there's
is that?
bigger issues.
No, there isn't. See, that's the issue, is that this is what makes us different. As a conservative, I focus on, if you have family breakdown, don't worry about climate change. Don't worry about systemic racism. All that stuff is like these crazy abstractions.
What do you think create family problems? Systemic racism creates family problems. If you take away black people from their families, then they're going to have broken families.
Okay, so, but that's interesting. How are you taking them away? Aren't they leaving? They're not staying with the women they're impregnating. So, for example, there 13% of the population is black. Not every single person ends up in jail, obviously, and yet there's huge child abandonment because there's a cultural expectation that is different in black America than in white America, which is it's okay to impregnate a woman and abandon her in black America. It's not
based on what? What is that based on?
That's a good question. Where does it come from? It's just based on...
No, I'm saying, what is that, like, your view of black America?
Well, it's not a view, it's true. I mean, don't take my word for it. Look at Thomas Sowell and Shelby Steele that have done amazing analysis on this. It's that in black culture, that is not considered to be a stigma. In white upper middle class culture, for those of you that grew up in Waukesha or Libertyville or grew up in Hinsdale or grew up in Naperville, you guys all know those neighborhoods. If you impregnate a girl, a woman, and you just like abandon her, that's frowned upon. That is a social stigma in upper middle class white culture.
As I've said, they don't want to look at the root cause of issues. They just want to continue to place victimhood on people and say it's not your fault, it's the system. It's not your fault, it's them people. It's not your fault, it's everyone else. That's all they want to do. But anyway, that was another video. If you guys enjoyed the video, like the video as much as possible. Comment down below, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and X at YinkaThatGuy. And I am out.